If you have a Capital One credit card and they have not given you a credit limit increase, on today's episode, I'm going to show you exactly how to get a credit limit increase on your Capital One credit card with no hard inquiry. Whenever you're building or rebuilding your credit, you want to have at least 2 to 5 of the biggest banks on your credit profile. And I'm referring to Chase Bank, American Express, Citibank, Discover, and of course, Capital One. If you have one of those banks, and especially Capital One, you have literally beat the game. Stop applying for all types of credit cards. You don't need a billion credit cards on your credit profile. This is one of the biggest mistakes that people make. So now, you are officially in the credit card game. Let me teach you how to use your Capital One relationship properly. And I want you to truly understand that I did not come from a huge wealthy upbringing. I came from the very bottom. I grew up in the projects of East Los Angeles, California. My parents didn't know anything about credit cards. I had to learn this stuff when I turned 27, about 28 years old. That's when I got into the credit card world. My parents knew nothing about how to use a credit card, what credit meant, or really truly the importance of having good credit. So this was one of the 3 first credit cards that I got right here, this Capital One Platinum card. I've kept this ever since that day to remind myself of where I came from and how hard I had to work to get to the American Express cards, the Citibanks, the Chase cards. It all started here. So don't get yourself down and think that, oh my God, I've got a crappy credit card. What do I do? I'm gonna show you all the things that you need to know. And the first step is working on getting credit limit increases on your existing credit cards. So we're going to start with Capital One first. Whether you have a Capital One Platinum just like me with either 200, 300, 500 bucks, you need to focus on raising that credit limit before you do anything else. We want to raise those credit limits on all of our existing credit cards. So when we do apply for another credit card, guess what? Now the bank can see that you are managing an actual credit card that has a high limit, because a lot of people just automatically assume that if I go to another credit card company, they're going to give me a high limit credit card. No, you have to show the experience on your credit profile. So you take an existing credit card like this exact one right here, the Capital One Platinum card, and you focus on using it properly. You want to make sure that you use it and you pay it off in full every single month. And I know a lot of people say, well, that's not possible. Well, then you need to stop using your credit card. If you don't have the immediate cash to pay it off, then don't use it at all. And I understand that people say this is ridiculous, this is crazy. Credit cards are not meant to be an actual piggy bank for you to just pull money out of. No, you want to use them for your everyday expenses. So I'm already scheduled to make a payment on my light bill, my cable bill, my cell phone bill, and groceries. So if I have that money already in the bank, I need to use my credit card, put it on the credit card, and then once it posts, pay it off. Make sure that I'm never carrying a balance as I'm actually building a relationship with a new credit card company. Because the more that you use your credit card and you pay it off in full every single month, that's going to show the bank that you actually are responsible, and they're going to be incentivized to give you more money. Now, let's say you take an actual $300 credit card and you say, well, $300, what am I going to do with that? You do exactly what I just told you. You pay your bills and you use it as many times as you can responsibly. Use $300 and then pay it off. Use another $300 and then pay it off again. The more times that you can do that, you're cycling a credit card and you're showing the bank that you in fact need more money and you are responsible enough to handle more money. So guess what? Now the bank is going to be incentivized to give you more money. Last part is the most important. But if you're doing the complete opposite with your Capital One Platinum card or your Capital One Quicksilver, because you say, oh, I don't have a really big limit, I don't even want to use the card, then you only use $20, $10 a month, whatever it may be, you're using way below your actual credit limit, then the bank has no incentive to give you more money. Why would they give you more money if you're not using it? Banks want to trap you into interest, into late fees. They want to get you on the hook, but you need to be smarter than that. You want to use it for your everyday expenses that you're already budgeted to actually pay for, and you have the money in your bank. So that way you never get caught up on paying any interest fees. If you pay your credit card off in full every month before your statement closing date and then let it report zero balance, then guess what? You are beating the game and you're paying zero interest to use this credit card. I really want to give you a full explanation before I actually walk you into the steps of getting the credit limit increase, because I want you to be successful, because you want to do this every 6 months or at least a minimum of once a year with all of your credit cards, getting those credit limits up as much as you possibly can. Anytime that you're going to request a credit limit increase with Capital One or any bank, you want to make sure that you're not carrying a big balance. Now, there's going to be people out there that are going to say, oh, I can still get one even with the balance. Okay, congratulations. I'm happy for you. But I want to make sure that you do not get denied for any credit limit increase. So we want to increase the chances of getting approved any which way that we possibly can. Now that we've covered this, we want to go into your actual Capital One app on your phone, or you could do it on your desktop if you want to also. That's another option. But as soon as you open up the app, you click on the actual credit card if you have multiple credit cards on your actual Capital One account, and then you go to the very bottom of the bottom right corner where it says profile. You're going to click on the profile icon. Once you get to the personal information profile, you want to click on the button that says account and feature settings. On the next page, you're going to scroll down and you're going to see the actual button that says request a credit limit increase. It's been there the whole time. You just didn't know it existed. Now, once you do that, it's going to come to your employment status. Now, I want you to understand you never want to put self-employed. And the reason why you do not want to put that there is because you become a high-risk borrower because you're self-employed. You always put that you're employed, even if you're employed by your company. You don't want to do that because what happens is this information will transfer to your actual massive credit reports, and then now all of the lenders can see that at some point in time either you were self-employed or you're still self-employed. Now I know in our minds it's great, I own my own business, right? But no, lenders do not like you. They see you as a high-risk borrower, and you need to understand that. So always choose employed. After you actually choose your type of employment, then it's going to ask you what your occupation is. I put Chief Executive Officer. You could put Managing Partner, Managing Director, Chief of Sales, whatever it may be. You can put your role in your company on your application. Now after that, it's going to ask you what your monthly mortgage rent payment is. You can choose $0, but I usually put just $100, even if you're living with your parents, your family, or you just don't pay rent, period, whatever it may be. You can put $0, but I usually put $100. Now it's going to ask you what your monthly spend with credit cards is going to be. Now I put $5,000. You can put whatever you feel comfortable with. There's no magic sweet spot for that. It's going to ask you for your annual income. Now do not do anything crazy unless you can prove it. The maximum I usually put on any application is $125,000 to $150,000, because if they pull my card and ask me for proof of employment, I have pay stubs that can prove that. Sometimes people can go under financial review if you put too much money on your application and they get you approved. They're like, hold on, wait, we need to see some pay stubs. And you're like, oh no, I don't have them. You don't want to make that grave mistake, because now they have that information stored in their database and you can get declined again, and they may ask you for a financial review later on down the line. And now you just slide that big green button and you should have submitted your actual credit limit increase, and hopefully you got approved. Congratulations, you just got your credit limit increase. Make sure that you do this every 6 months if you're using your credit card responsibly, and at the least once a year. Build up those credit limits to get those high limit credit cards that you really want. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure that you watch the next video, because it is how to get 3x credit limit increases on your American Express credit cards if you do have one of those. And if you felt like I brought you some value in this video today, make sure that you don't forget, subscribe to increase your credit score.